Hello everybody, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. I already did a video earlier today discussing the Divine Comedy, and I think it was part 7 of that series now. There's 7 of them. And I used some concept art of St. Lucia from the Dante video game, I believe it is, as the picture for that video. So I'm glad I was able to do that earlier today. That was cool. I wanted to go ahead and try to make another video now. If this is good enough, I'll go ahead and post it on Occult Perspectives. I may even put it on Facebook, I don't know, but I don't really plan for this to go on Facebook. This is more of a YouTube video, because I'll be trying to get into some pretty esoteric concepts, and I feel more people on my YouTube channel, well, the people who subscribe to my channel are people who find me because of their, mutual interest in this stuff. So for fun, I'm just out kind of driving around right now until I get home in a little bit, just cruising actually. Sometimes my mind and my brain works better actually if I'm driving for explaining things than it does if I'm just sitting inside. I was going to go on a walk. I went there and ate my food that I got, but I didn't actually end up getting out of the car. There were too many people at the park. I wanted to be somewhere. I wanted to be somewhere more like the little park that we have out in London, Stanley Park. There's hardly ever anybody in those woods. And it's just so nice because you can go back there and you don't have to interact with anybody. If there is somebody that goes back through the woods, there's enough space and trees that you're not really going to run into each other. You can usually hear somebody, coming your direction. But anyway, so for this video, I wanted to get into a little bit of Harry Potter symbolism, some of the occult stuff behind that series. I know I've talked about the Elder Scrolls on here before. I've talked about the Legend of Zelda. I figure at some point I might get into Star Wars, but for this video I wanted to talk about Harry Potter, and I'm not going to be able to get into as deep of lore as some of the YouTubers. I've watched some of their stuff already. There's a guy, I don't remember who it was, but he covered the Deathly Hallows lore pretty hardcore. And I guess we could just go ahead and jump to the subject of the Deathly Hallows. You got the Elder Wand, the Invisibility Cloak, and the Resurrection Stone. Those 3 items, it kind of reminds me of gathering the spiritual stones in the Ocarina of Time, but that's besides the point. But it was 3 brothers, and each of them, death comes to them and asks them what they want. And the first brother, he wanted the Elder Wand for power. The second one, the Resurrection Stone to bring back his beloved. But bringing her back caused insanity and stuff, you end up finding out. And then the third one was the Invisibility Cloak, because the third brother was smart. He wanted a way to hide from death for the rest of his days. So Death was able to find the other 2 brothers. That's kind of a real quick summary of the story. I didn't even really get into it. You can either watch the Deathly Hallows movies or watch some lore on YouTube about that. But of course, we'll talk about the symbolism of the wand real quick. The wand is, especially in the tarot, the 4 tarot suits, the wands, is always equated to fire typically, and also will. It is the wand in any ceremonial magic or anything that you're going to perform. Doesn't matter what background or what practice you are. The wand is an extension of your will. So that's a little bit of thinking about the Elder Wand and all the lore that goes with it. Harry's ends up being the rightful owner of the Elder Wand in the end. And I know in the movie he breaks the wand and then he throws it. And I believe they destroy the wand, I think, in the book too. It's been so long since I've read the book, and I know it goes way more in depth than that. But we'll go ahead and continue on. The Resurrection Stone. So a stone that can actually bring people back to life. This would be a little bit different from the Philosopher's Stone. which is the Sorcerer's Stone essentially, or the alchemical gold. There's a different name for it. I guess the alchemist's gold. There's a different name for that gold. I don't know why I can't think of it. But the whole idea of, transmuting the base essence of something, or refining it, and Damien Eccles talked about that in his last video, the whole idea of breaking something down into its component parts and then putting it back together so that it's better than it even was before. There's 3 different stages of alchemy. We're not going to get into all that now. I was kind of getting sidetracked a little bit, talking about the Philosopher's Gold. I think that's, or the Immortal Stone, or the Stone of the Wise. Like, this is all tied in with the Sorcerer's Stone. But anyway, the Resurrection Stone, and a lot of people, they talk about, like, bringing, dead ones back from, or loved ones back from the dead. Well, that whole thing is, at least the way I view it, is like, whatever, that is necromancy or whatever, you're trying to call this spirit back. There are a lot of legitimate channelers out there. Really good channelers, actually. But the thing is you don't always 100% know what spiritual energy you're dealing with. So a lot of the times, we see this really well in an anime series like Full Metal Alchemist. At the beginning of the show, they try to bring their mother back, but when they ended up bringing her back, it wasn't even like, it was parts of her body like mixed with some kind of demonic thing, and then the brother ended up losing his body in the whole process anyway, one of the brothers, so they really didn't even end up getting their mother back, and then his body was like destroyed, and that's how the whole saga or series starts out. Super interesting show. If you haven't checked it out, check that out, Full Metal Alchemist. But I guess that kind of touches on stones and, like, the Resurrection Stone. If we look at the Sorcerer's Stone and the Philosopher's Stone, this is the transmutation of base metals into gold. So from a base or a basic state of consciousness to a higher state of consciousness. We see this theme, immortalized in teachings such as the Freemasons and stuff, especially when it comes to, like, the 3rd degree, the Master Mason degree. It's a lot of transmutation lessons that are going on there, the transformation of the self, the resurrection of the self, Christ resurrecting, all these things, and the whole idea is to have the living resurrection. You resurrect while you are still alive. Anything that's holding you down that would symbolically or vibrationally bring you death, you would raise yourself above this. And then finally, the invisibility cloak. There's not really too much cool stuff I guess I could get into about the invisibility cloak. There's not too much esoterica there, other than the fact that there are invisibility spells, of course we know, in real ceremonial magic. Like the Rose Cross ritual kind of helps you, be more, discreet. People are not really going to notice you as much, and with a lot of invisibility rituals, unless they're really, like, seeking you out. I don't have much practice with invisibility stuff. I find the LBRP, the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, to be pretty good, for kind of cloaking or shielding you. But if you want that extra protection, there's other rituals, Rose Cross, for example, which I would like to cover that on this channel. Okay, so moving on, and before we touch on any more subjects in the Harry Potter series, just the whole idea of Hogwarts itself. Not only the name, that's kind of a weird thing, like Hogwarts, it's a strange title. I think J.K. Rowling got the whole idea of a magical school from, like, a different author, or from a different story. I don't think that was originally her idea. But I like, even though the magic that we know in Harry Potter, the world of Harry Potter, while there may be some analogies or some similarities to ceremonial magic or Wiccan magic or whatever, I don't find that there's, like, too many. It's not really exactly the same. It's always going to be Hollywoodized a little bit. That comes with it. But essentially, Hogwarts is like a mystery school. And the educational system we see today is not really, on par with, like, where human evolution is going. I think something much more like Hogwarts, it's a more, like, medieval version of a modern mystery school, because we could take advantage of technologies and stuff. Imagine if we could use, hologram technology, or just, able to, in visual aid and tools for meditation and different practices and stuff, visualization tools, and using the technology for those things instead of, a lot of the dumb stuff that it's used for in the schools today. I think once you get past a certain rudimentary knowledge of like alphabet, language, and using numbers and basic mathematics, after a certain degree, school's not really going to serve you unless it's more about what you're interested in studying. If you're going to take the time to actually be a true student of life, it requires more than just going to school. You're looking for the real answers of life. And those are the kind of people that I see are typically are mystical driven, or come to a ceremonial magic background or a mystery school background of some degree. They're searching for more in life. They weren't just a part of the generic schoolgoers, even though I did go to a public school. But Hogwarts is this real grandiose idea of a true mystery school. And I think the password for the portrait of the fat lady for the Gryffindors to go in the Gryffindor common room was like Caput Draconi or something like that. It's CAPUT Draconi, DRACONIS, which is some sort of constellation. But right in the black brick, the Golden Dawn's book of all their rituals and basically all their degree work and all that stuff by Israel Regardie, the Golden Dawn, the complete works. It's right in there. Caput Draconi, it's like right in lesson 1 of the neophyte degree, or the outer order, those who are just starting to join the order. It's like preliminary stuff. And then you learn a lot of other basic knowledge along with that, like the zodiacs, the order of the zodiacs. You start to learn the Hebrew alphabet. That was basically the curriculum that I started following. I actually tried to follow the black brick as a curriculum at first, which was kind of a mess, which, it does get you started, but then I got Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magic, and that helped me tremendously. So, continuing on, I'm trying to think of what other Harry Potter symbolism I could get into. I think I watched a video where somebody actually went over real life lore on the basilisk. I think there's some real mythology, or maybe even some hidden real occult truth to the basilisk, and the second one, the Chamber of Secrets. Let's see, The Prisoner of Azkaban was the third movie. The whole idea of Professor Trelawney and prophecy, I just read a little bit about I watched a lore video on the prophecy. That's kind of interesting. Because Professor Trelawney, she's not normally a really good mystic, but she's kind of really loopy, but sometimes she gets serious messages that come through, and that was one of the ones, was Harry's prophecy. Professor Trelawney was the one that gave that prophecy right before she ended up, working at Hogwarts and stuff. So I thought that was kind of an interesting side note. I think there's a lot of analogies in a funny kind of way, between Aleister Crowley and Voldemort. Aleister Crowley was kind of like a real life Voldemort in a way. I know he wasn't really the most righteous dude. Here's the thing though, I don't really care what Crowley did in his life. I'm not gonna be oh, this dude was good or bad. I only look at the knowledge that teachers like him leave behind. He's kind of more one of those teachers do as I say, not as I do, type teacher. So I don't really recommend following his example of what all he did in life. He was a great chess player. He was a mountaineer, and of course a great magician as well. But he did some other things in life that are a little bit questionable. But we've all done some stupid things. So it's not really about judgment. It's about taking the information, as I said before, and moving forward with it. But yeah, I think Crowley, and I've always been kind of drawn to the dark side, so I'm very much Slytherin. We could kind of discuss the energies of the houses a little bit. You've got Gryffindor, which is the Leo. It's the courage, the genuine pride. Energy is in Gryffindor. And I think Gryffindor is one of the cooler houses for sure. That Leo energy is really nice. It lines up with Archangel Michael, of course. during the LBRP, you can envision Archangel Michael with, the constellation of Leo. But then I've also learned that the actual archangel of the zodiacal archangel of Leo is called Virchiel. I guess that's maybe how you would say it. Virchiel. Correct me on any of these names if I'm, butchering them. But yeah, there's an archangel for each of the 12 zodiac, and Virchiel, Verchiel, I think is how you spell it. So anyway, Gryffindor represents the Leo energy, and vice versa, too. Ravenclaw, when we look at, the raven, I know the raven definitely has some esoteric symbolism, not so much in a lot of the mythology and stuff I study as much. I don't know if there'd be any significance with the raven with Egyptian stuff, but as far as Kabbalistic, Masonic stuff, I don't really notice the raven too much. But if we look at the bird as the eagle, we often know that the eagle, which we depict on the United States as the United States national bird, the bald eagle or whatever, but what that really is it's the phoenix. And Ravenclaw, if we look at that bird, it could be the eagle, it could be the raven, or it could be the phoenix. And the Ravenclaw color is blue, so it must have some association, I'm assuming, with water, but it's also intellect, because we know that Ravenclaw is the most intellectual house there is. They're the really smart ones. So there's some air qualities there as well. But as we know in ceremonial magic, this phoenix or this eagle is associated actually with the element of water and not air, because this eagle or this phoenix is associated with Scorpio and also with Gabriel in the West. Okay, and then let's see, we've got Hufflepuff. I never really understood the archetype of Hufflepuff that much. They say it's more of a Cancer kind of archetype, the way that the Cancer zodiac sign is that homely, kind of grounded, very comforting, homey type vibe. I love that energy. I love the Cancers in my life. But for me, my energy is a little more intense. It's a little more concentrated and linear and straightforward and more. There's different. It's just different the way the energies work for different archetypes. That's all it is. As a Scorpio, if you look at the stinger, my energy is I concentrate my energy and I build it up, and then I can strike whatever it is that I choose to use this contained energy for, towards my goals, my ambitions, whatever it is in life that I want to manifest. We can all do this with our energies. It's just I tend to use my energy in more concentrated pockets, towards the things that I really believe in. Whereas a Cancer energy is just they're more just at homey and peace and vibe. And I'm always on the move. I'm Scorpio, so I'm fire and water. And that's some more symbolism, with some of the zodiac. And we could kind of view this with some of the, the Hogwarts houses, as we were saying before. Ravenclaw, we've talked about Leo or Gryffindor now, and then Hufflepuff kind of embodies more of the Cancer energy. I guess I could see that in Cedric Diggory, because Cedric was a Cancer. He was a pretty nice dude. He was nicer to Harry than the other people. Now Slytherin is to me the most interesting one. I would technically find myself drawn most to Slytherin house, and a close second would be Ravenclaw, for sure, and then Gryffindor would be my third choice, and then Hufflepuff. But the reason I'm so drawn to Slytherin is because it embodies I feel very much the Scorpio archetype. And for those of you that don't know, I have 4 planets in Scorpio: Sun, Moon, which is emotions; Mars, which is the planet of war; and then Pluto as well, which Pluto has to do with resurrection and stuff as well. But Scorpio is already a death and resurrection sign, so I've got so much of this influence, planetary stuff in my chart. And it's helped me understand why I am the way I am a lot more. It's helped me come to terms with myself a lot more, and myself, I guess, plural. But yeah, I'm really just, learning to vibe with the nature of who and what I am. And that's why I'm drawn to Slytherin. But even though I have that darker aspect about myself, I'm really drawn to the dark side. Like, that doesn't mean, like, evil, per se, or using the darker knowledge for bad. Like, I've really been drawn to learning more about the Hufflepuff, which, if you watch this channel and you are not familiar with the Hufflepuff yet, you should really look into that. Not so much on practicing it. If you want to go down that route, that's great as a left-hand pather. I study the left-hand path a lot. I've talked about it a bit here on my channel and on like my Facebook and stuff. But I don't solely follow the left-hand path. I don't go all the way down that route and like work with the Hufflepuff demons or anything. But the tree of the Hufflepuff is essentially like the negative tree to the tree of life. It's underneath the tree of life, and it's like the shells of death. But it would basically be, from what I understand, the opposite or the opposing polarity to the tree of life, because everything, as we know, has its opposites and polarities and such. As above, so below. And a really interesting note, I had mentioned in the video earlier today that Brother Yusef from New Life Tools, I think that's what his channel's called, something like that. But I love his stuff, and he was talking about how some of these demons or these like dark angels of the Hufflepuff are like so powerful. They're like powerful than most of the angels and like archangels and stuff you would work with in ceremonial magic. To the point where they're dangerous and they're not allowed to be let out yet, because the earth isn't ready for that part of like God's plan and stuff. We learn that the darkness a lot of the times is that which we just cannot comprehend, because it goes beyond the spheres of existence that we can even perceive. For me personally, I only work with like archangelic energies. I work with the 4 elementary element ones, Metatron, Sandalphon, and then so far the ones on the Tree of Life, and I'm learning the zodiacal ones now, the 12 archangels of the zodiac. I'm getting to be familiar with their energies, and then I'm learning more about dragon magic and all this stuff, so it's all interesting, but I'm more of a student of things that I don't really understand, and I'm trying to talk about it that way we can all learn more about this stuff together. So I'm sorry I got really sidetracked. And even the whole dragon, reptilian, draconic energy, whatever, is associated with Slytherin. It's that reptilian energy, and I've always felt like really drawn to that kind of energy. I'm more, even though I'm a mammal and a human, I feel very drawn to the serpent energy. I always have. And even Jesus said, "Be ye as wise as serpents." As we know, also there are 3 evolutionary stages of Scorpio. It's the scorpion who stings, the serpent who has gained knowledge, but he could still be prideful, and symbolism with Lucifer and stuff. The lore of Lucifer runs so much deeper than I ever understood that it did. I've been learning even more about Satan and Lucifer, how there's so much misunderstood things, that Lucifer could actually be, that Lucifer is actually in some ways female, but in all reality, Lucifer is Venus, and yes, this could be archetypal or embodied by female energy, and that it's Lucifer is one of the beings that's part of, as Brother Yusef says, New Life Tools, I said before, I think that's his channel, talks about these ultraviolet light beings or whatever, and Thoth exists among those, and Lucifer also does. So, sorry I'm getting on another side tangent, but I'm basically drawing all the things I've been studying as of late and throwing them in with this Harry Potter lore stuff. So, in essence, I'm very drawn to Slytherin, House Slytherin, but I would be like a benevolent Slytherin. Like, I'm not trying to like out to harm anybody or anything, but I would want fellow students in a house, like go to school and like work with fellow students to help each other integrate darkness and learn about darkness and primordial darkness and where we all come from and how to master our powers and learn that we are, these all powerful, beautiful beings, having a physical experience here. This is the kind of stuff this is the new Aeon, this is really where it's headed. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, as I said before, there's a lot of Harry Potter lore and stuff. I think I pretty much touched on a lot of the stuff I wanted to get into. The whole Order of the Phoenix, of course, we know, like, magical orders and the Order of the Phoenix, the whole symbolism of Scorpio, the Phoenix, Gabriel. You know, I've talked about it all before. I feel like a broken record in some ways, but I don't think like everybody probably watches all my videos, so making all these correlations, these connections. But really, I mean, I think that's all I wanted to touch on some occult symbolism of the Harry Potter, you know, series that maybe not everyone has touched on before. And of course, you know, you could be this all-powerful magician like Voldemort is. This is how I'll kind of end the video. You know, he had all this magic, he had all this power, but in the end, like, he was just this lonely, sad dude, like, who ended up dying. Oh, and there's a lore video about Voldemort's daughter and how he's actually related to Harry Potter, like they come from the same lineage, so you should look up that video too. But basically, Voldemort dies, this sad person. He's always hungry for power and stuff, and you know, in the end, that hunger for power without love is the energy, the beauty. This is what protected Harry from being, you know, from harm being done unto him from Voldemort, was the power of love that his mother gave him when she protected Harry. Unconditional love, and that's the thing I'm really learning in my life. It's the most powerful, magical thing that exists in this world. It really is. It's just, and Brother Youssef will talk about this too, you know, but it really does overcome everything. It's like, I've learned all this knowledge, you know, I sometimes get real proud, you know, in the knowledge that I have, and not everyone understands these things, and a lot of these understandings, these connections, they come easy for me because I'm focused on the path. And I think it does come to those, you know, easier to those who are focused on the path, and they're conscious and they're aware, they're awake, they're truly alive. But sometimes it is hard to be in this world, you know, and to always stay on top of the game, because we're living in such a transference of ages where we're like these light indigo children, these, you know, angelic beings in this realm, but like everything's kind of at this like lower vibration still. It's very much, you know, just a false reality, and we're breaking through it. We are becoming one. We are coming together. We are raising through in this shift, this vibrational shift. And it's really a beautiful thing. But yeah, basically unconditional love, as I was going to say before, is the ultimate magic of Harry Potter, and this is what ends up protecting Harry. And unconditional love is what has always protected me, and being right with Source. And I kind of always got that vibe with characters like Harry Potter and stuff like that, you know, like they're always just trying to do what's right, you know. It's the protagonist of the story. Like, each and every one of us are the hero. We are the chosen ones. You know, it's like in the Matrix, I think Morpheus says to Neo, perhaps, or maybe it's the lady, the Oracle that says it to him, but I think it's Neo. It's like, you can't just like think you are, you have to know you are. And this is all in line with like Yoda and Star Wars as well, you know. You can't just, there's no try, there's only do. You must know. So, all right, everybody. Peace and blessings. I hope you have a great day. This is my second video today. I think I am actually going to end up posting this. This is way too long to try and post on Facebook for sure. This is almost a 30-minute video, but I'm going to go ahead and post it on my YouTube channel. So thank you all for tuning in. Much love. Until next time.